Hello guys, welcome back. Welcome back to Math with Gustavus. In this lesson, we'll be subtracting fractions and whole numbers. There are two methods that we'll be doing today, so ensure that you stay to the very end. In method 1, I'm suggesting these steps. Step 1, you'll convert the whole number to a fraction, simply by dividing by 1. And then step 2, you'll subtract the fractions. If you have not watched my video on subtraction of fractions, ensure that you do it at the end of this video, or you may pause this one and go on to watch how to subtract fractions. Let's jump into this first question. Here we have 5 minus 3/4. All right. Step 1 suggests, of method 1 that is, that we are supposed to convert the whole number to a fraction. Our whole number right here is 5. So in converting a whole number to a fraction, we simply divide by 1. So that will be 5 over 1. So it's 5 over 1 minus 3 over 4. So now we have two fractions. All right, the denominators of the fractions are unlike, and as such we need to have a common denominator. All right, the common denominator in this case would be 4. Whenever 1 is one of the denominator and some other number, that other number would always be the common denominator because we're working with 1. So let's put our common denominator, which is 4. All right, so we're going to divide right here. So it's 1 into 4. That goes 4 times. So we have 5 times 4, and 5 times 4 is 20. Then we put our subtraction sign. Afterwards, we're going to divide the 4 into the 4, and 4 into 4 goes 1. So we're going to multiply the 3 here by 1. 3 times 1, that will give us 3. So we're going to subtract the 3 and the 20. So 3 from 20, that will give us 17. And then we put back our common denominator, which is 4. Now, if you look closely, you'll notice that this is an improper fraction. And improper fractions can be converted to mixed number. We can choose to leave our answer like this or convert it to a mixed number. We're going to convert it to a mixed number by dividing, right? So 4 into 17, that goes 4 times, big 4. And then 4 times 4 is 16. And when we subtract 16 from 17, that will leave us with a remainder of 1. And then we put back our common denominator, which is 4. So our answer for that first question can be represented by 17 over 4, or 4 and a quarter. Let's turn our attention now to the second question. Now the second question is 9 over 2 minus 3. Again, we're using method 1. So we need to convert our whole number 3 to, good job, to a fraction. All right, so we do that by dividing by 1. So let's write back our first fraction, which is 9 over 2 minus, and then we convert this to a fraction by dividing or putting it over 1. So now our denominators are unlike, and as such we need to find a common denominator. Given that we're working with 1, our common denominator in this case would simply be 2. So we write our 2. So let's divide now. So 2 into 2, that goes what? 1 time, right? So it's 9 times 1, that will give us 9. Put back our subtraction sign. Afterwards, guys, we are going to divide again. So it's 1 into 2, that goes what? 2 times, right? So it's 3 times 2, which will give us 6. And that will leave us with what? 3 over 2. Again, 3 over 2 is an improper fraction, and it can be converted to a mixed number. So let's do that. So it's 2 into 3, that goes 1 time, and that would leave us with a remainder of 1, and then we put back our common denominator. So the answer to this question is 3 over 2, or just 1 and a half. All right, easy, guys, very, very easy. Now, method 1 is what I suggest to persons who are just starting out with fractions, specifically subtracting fractions and whole numbers. Now, if you fully understand this and you are in an exam situation and you need to move quickly through the questions, this is the method that I'm suggesting. All right, so let's look at number 3. For number 3, we have 11 minus 3 over 4. Because we're subtracting here, what I'm recommending strategically is that we're going to rewrite 11. All right, so we can rewrite 11 endlessly. There are many ways in which we can write 11. For example, we can write 11 as 10 plus 1. We can write it as 9 plus 2. And even we can write it as 13 minus 2, so on and so forth, right? But we're going to rewrite our whole number as a sum, including 1. So in this case, it would simply be 10 plus 1 minus what? 3 over 4. Now we do that strategically because we want to focus on the 1. And now that 1, we are now going to convert it now to a fraction that has a denominator of 4. So think about it. If we want our fraction to be equivalent to 1, and it must have a denominator of 4, what would the numerator be? So let's look at this. So here, our denominator is 4. It must be equal to 1. All right. What would our numerator be? Think about it. It will definitely would have to be 4. So let's write 4 right here. So now 1 can be rewritten strategically as what? As 4 over 4. So that's what we're going to do right here. So we're going to write back our 10. And where we have our 1, we're going to rewrite it as 4 over 4. Afterwards, we're going to subtract right here. Minus what? 3 over 4. So the reason we have done that is because we want a common denominator of 4. That is why we choose 4 to begin with. So we're going to focus now, put it in parentheses, these two. All right. Remember now, when we're adding or subtracting fractions that have the same or like denominator, we what? Simply keep the what? We keep the denominator. We keep the denominator, which is 4 in this case, and then subtract the numerator. The numerators in this case would be 4 minus 3, which is 1, and then we add that to our 10. So the answer to that will simply be 10 plus a quarter, and we know that 10 plus a quarter as a mixed number will simply be 10 and a quarter. All right, that is how you would work that question in a more, quicker and a more advanced fashion. And if you really see what you're doing, you would not really need to write the 1 right there. You could do that mentally and know that it will be 4 over 4 minus 3 over 4, which will give you a quarter, and then you'll simply add that back to your 10. But again, if you're just starting out, I'm recommending the first method. The second one is for advanced students who are preparing for, let's say, GRE or SAT. All right, we don't have time to go through the entire process. Let's look at one more question, right? Sometimes you'll be given an improper fraction and a whole number, which is the case right here. Whenever the fraction is improper, you should recognize that very quickly and convert it to a mixed number. All right, so let's look at this now. So it's 11 over 3 minus 2. This now as a improper fraction is simply what? It's simply 3 and 2 over 3. And then we'll put back our minus 2. Now, remember now that for the mixed number, it is what? 3 plus 2/3. That's what it literally means, right? It literally means what? 3 plus 2/3, and then we put our minus 2. So what we'll do right here, guys, we'll subtract the whole number. So it's 3 minus 2, which will give us what? 1. And then we now add that to the 2/3, which will give us 1 and 2/3 as our final answer right there. This is the end of today's lesson. I hope you guys would have learned a lot. Now guys, turn your attention to number 5. This is where you get an opportunity to express to me that you understood all that I've done. I want you to attempt this question taking both methods or using both approaches. When you're done, send your answer in the comment section. Thank you very much for watching. See you again guys soon.